Welcome, my listeners, to the Bill Russo Show. I am grateful for you tuning in this evening when we have a special broadcast for you. My guests tonight include Dina Wilcox, an author who has a wonderful book coming out. It's actually already published, and she'll be talking about it. She has a book signing, as a matter of fact, tomorrow. That's Dina Wilcox. And a little later on in the program, Laurie Snyder, who is a lifestylist and transformation coach, who is in the process of publishing a new book. But first, a few announcements to make. I want to say hello to some of my fans out there. Say, first of all, happy birthday to Christina Cho. I want to say hello to Alan Gordon, a good friend and acting instructor, and many of his students, including Amy Duggar out there in Radio Land. Welcome if you're listening to the Bill Russo Show. We appreciate your listening to us. And again, happy birthday to Christina. I want to say hello to Angie Christic, one-time guest on the Bill Russo Show. And we've had so many people come to us to be guests on the show, and I welcome any of you out there, whatever your field or whatever your background, you have something to contribute. You are unique and you are special, and we want to hear from you. I will book you on the program. We'll see what our schedule is. If not this program, we'll get you on another program. But we specialize here on our program on bringing good people to you, having good conversations, playing some good music, and also talking about good causes and the work that people do individually out there in the world to make it a better place for you and me. Once again, I want to announce that the San Gennaro Feast Blood Drive will take place on the last day of the San Gennaro Feast. For information about the feast itself, you can go to the website sangennaro.org. That's SANGENNARO, sangennaro.org. The blood drive is in its third year. It will take place on Sunday, September 22nd, 2013, from 11:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. We do take walk-ins, but we encourage you to schedule a donation time for the San Gennaro Feast Blood Drive by calling 1-800-RED-CROSS. That's 1-800-RED-CROSS. For those of you who are currently listening and you're on your computer, you can go to redcrossblood.org, redcrossblood.org. This San Gennaro Feast Blood Drive is sponsored by the Figli di San Gennaro, which is the Children of San Gennaro. The official organization that sponsors the San Gennaro Feast every year is the Figli di San Gennaro Incorporated, and they are a great group of people. You can see, find information about them on the sangennaro.org website, and it's also sponsored by the Basilica of Old St. Patrick's Cathedral. And this year, as a follow-up to last year, Cafe Palermo at 148 Mulberry Street is offering for all blood donors. Now this will encourage you. Now, you're going to get on the phone now or go on your computer, because Cafe Palermo is offering free cannoli to all blood donors. So we like to say, leave the blood, take the cannoli, and we'll be happy with that. Because the San Gennaro Feast Blood Drive is not just about sausage and peppers, and it's not just about playing games or just walking around in a crowded area. It's about giving, and the San Gennaro Feast Blood Drive represents the giving nature of the community that this feast originated in many years ago at the turn of the century, and represents what neighborhoods and people do for each other. And in a sense, all of the citizens, all of the people that do donate, this blood does not discriminate. It goes to people in need. And you may know someone who had needed a blood transfusion in the past, or you may know someone in the future that will need a blood transfusion, or you may need a blood transfusion, or you just know that it's a need. So we encourage you to donate blood at the San Gennaro Feast Blood Drive, Sunday, September 22nd, 2013. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I am very honored to introduce to you Dina Wilcox. Her book is Why Do I Feel This Way? And she's here to explain her journey that led her to write this book. And I think we should start there, Dina. What's the background that led you to write this book?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for having me on the show, Bill, and I want to say hi to all of your listeners and viewers. It's really a pleasure to be here. What got me started was I fell in love. It's really the beginning of the story, and a lot.
That could start a lot of things.
Yes, and it was wonderful. It was perfect, and it was happily ever after, and it was everything that I had dreamed of. I was so lucky. I felt so lucky to have met my perfect person. And after 2 years, he started to be sick. He was having trouble breathing, and we ended up at St. Vincent's Hospital finally because he got worse and worse. And unbeknownst to me, they had put him into the HIV unit because now I know that in 1988, if you were a young middle-aged man in New York City who showed up with pneumonia, that's the first presumption that they made about you. And so that's where we were, and as he was sleeping and getting well again, I spent a lot of time wandering the halls and trying to figure out what had just happened to us, because...
How long after you moved in did you know and he became sick?
We were together for 2 years, and we were planning a wedding at the time. And so I knew that we were in trouble. I didn't really know what was going on, but of course in 1988 there was already quite a lot of conversation in the press and in the streets about this thing called AIDS. And so when I realized that that was the unit that we had to go into, it took a minute and a half to figure out that they thought he had it, but when he did, we wouldn't find out for another several weeks.
And I recall working on the Lower East Side of Manhattan as a housing property manager of the Jacob Riis houses, that it was known that there were people coming down with a condition which many thought was a form of tuberculosis, but the activism had not taken hold yet. The medications and availability of treatment hadn't taken hold, and people were not aware of what became labeled, but had been an undercurrent for a while, an epidemic.
That's right.
So go on from there.
Well, they took the blood test. They did the blood test the day they released him when he was fully recovered from pneumonia. And then we had to wait 2 weeks before we could get the results. Fortunately now you can get the results immediately, so you don't have to go through the fear and anxiety and the worry. And that was a very strange time for us as well. And then when we got back from visiting his family in the Midwest, we did get the diagnosis. And then I needed to figure out what to do, because it was likely he was going to die. And I think that our first reaction to information like that is not on my watch. It's not going to happen while I'm here. I'm going to make sure that it doesn't happen. And so my way of dealing with it was to read everything we could find about the virus and the epidemic and the history and the future and so on and so forth. And that's what I did. I learned pretty much everything that I could find. I read everything I could get my hands on.
And early on there really wasn't a lot, but there was information out there, and there was so much conjecture as to causes and reasons. And I remember there was such a epidemic of fear and of people who wouldn't come in contact with someone for all the stupid reasons, I have to say, and created this atmosphere of almost hysteria.
Well, oftentimes that's the perfect environment. Fear provides a perfect environment for the worst of who we are, because we don't know what the threat is, except that we know it's real. And so we respond to it in kind.
It's very profound that you should say that fear provides the